my name is Johanna Waters and I'm Professor in Human Geography at University College London, based in the Geography Department. And I'm also the co-director of the Migration Research Unit, which is an interdisciplinary unit at UCL as well. So for the past, a couple of decades really, I've been working on issues around international higher education, transnational higher education, but I'm particularly interested in families and the way in which education motivates their migration. So a few specific projects that I'm working on that relate to this. One is with Maggie Lung, who's at Utrecht University, and we're looking at what's called cross-border schooling. So we're looking at young children that commute across the border between Shenzhen in mainland China and Hong Kong. And they do this on a daily basis. And there's about 30,000 children that move over the border in this way to go to school. And we've been particularly interested in this kind of phenomenon from the perspective of the families themselves. So how families organize themselves, what are the implications of having usually one child commute across the border, the other child go to school locally. This is what normally happens in this situation. So this project is something that we're really publishing at the moment. We've sort of finished the data collection and we're writing it up. Another project that I'm excited about, it's a book that's about to come out in September with a colleague, Rachel Brooks, she's at the University of Surrey. She's a sociologist, and it's called Student Migrants and Contemporary Educational Mobilities. And this book is really a critical review of the literature over the past 10 years on student mobilities and international higher education. We wrote a book together 10 years ago that at the time was quite innovative. There hadn't been an awful lot of social science work like overviewing student migrants, international students, higher education from a kind of sociological, geographical perspective. And we thought it would be great then 10 years later to have a look back at all the research that's been done in this area over the past 10 years, and it has grown hugely. So that's a little plug for our book, which is coming out with Palgrave in September. And I suppose one other project, again, which relates to my interests, is an edited book I'm working on with Brenda Yo. She's at NUS in Singapore. And this is called Migration and Family. And it's a collection of about 30 essays by an international team of scholars who are working on different aspects of the relationship between migration and families and households and different configurations of families and so on and so on. And I myself am contributing a chapter on education and family migration that I'm working on at the moment. Yeah, well, I've written recently quite a few blog posts in different outlets on international students and COVID, actually. I've been quite concerned about the impact of travel bans and lockdowns and so on international students, particularly in the UK, but also in other countries. And I have a sense of, for many years, I've had a sense that international students have remained rather invisible. They're very useful for universities. We have a high number of international students in the UK, the second highest after the US in the world. But international students are not really given the credit and the platform that they possibly need and deserve. So I've written quite a few kind of policy pieces around this kind of lack of recognition of international students and how important it is. I feel that they're given a voice, but also just given due recognition and care as well and attention by institutions. And then another related project that I did a few years ago on transnational higher education in Hong Kong. I was looking at British universities offering degrees in Hong Kong. Myself and Maggie that I mentioned, we did quite a bit of kind of outreach to institutions, to universities, trying to get them again to kind of recognize and acknowledge the difficulties that transnational students have, because a lot of students and staff in UK universities don't realise how many overseas students they teach in their home countries. So, tens of thousands of British students studying in Hong Kong for a British degree. But then these students can struggle in the labour market. They can struggle to get recognition for their British qualifications in their kind of local context. So I've done quite a bit of work trying to kind of raise awareness of these problems and difficulties attached to TNE or transnational education, as well as highlighting, you know, where it works well. And for certain sectors, in certain job markets, it's fantastic for students, but for others, it kind of represents more of a barrier to them doing well, you know, entering the labour market, getting a good job, and so on and so on. The most pressing role I seem to have had recently is as international and affiliate tutor for the geography department at UCL. Seems like it's quite a small role. Basically, I deal with all incoming and outgoing exchanges of students for either a year or a term. And the pandemic has disrupted that unbelievably well. I'm sure you can imagine how the pandemic has disrupted this. So it's been a quite an important job, I think, liaising with students and trying to place students or trying to see whether students are able to learn online, remotely. And it's been difficult because students have had plans to study abroad. They've had plans. We offer a 4-year degree with 1 year overseas, and where they've not been able to spend that year overseas, you know, their kind of plans really from when they started university have kind of gone out the window a little bit. So that role has been important, but also quite interesting because I research this area as well. So it's kind of been it's been a crossover between kind of my administrative roles and my actual research roles. And also my role as co-director of the Migration Research Unit is important to me. Again, this is based in the geography department, but it's across UCL, and we run all different kinds of activities and have a really active PhD network. But I've been during lockdowns where we've been teaching remotely. I've been running a reading group for PhD early career researchers, but for everyone really. That's been wonderful. It's kind of got people together online, but nevertheless got people together to talk about things that aren't related to the kind of crises that people are dealing with in terms of the pandemic and their own research. So that's been really important to me as well. Well, it means an awful lot, actually. I was very chuffed when I got elected. Mainly, largely because I'm Welsh and I'm very attached to Wales, and most of my family live in Wales, and have lived outside Wales since I was an undergraduate. So it's a great honour, actually, and a privilege, and it kind of ties me back to where I want to be. I think I'm looking forward to actually meeting people. I think because I was elected, the pandemic happened, kicked off kind of soon after I was elected, so I haven't really had a chance to attend any in-person meetings. I'm in touch with some other fellows, but I would really like to join in more, I guess, in-person kind of activities. But yes, it's been it is very important to me, and it has been, and I'm very honoured